This is the Kia Carnival Hybrid, the new petrol-electric 8-seat people mover from the Korean brand, which offers plenty of stuff that you will like because it's only available in GT line trim, and that's the most expensive version. In fact, this is the most expensive Kia Carnival ever. So, is it worth your money? Well, we'll talk about that in this review, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. It does help a lot, and ring the bell to keep up to date with all of my reviews. All right, let's take a look at the Kia Carnival Hybrid, shall we? Righto, some bad news first. The Kia Carnival Hybrid is only available in GT line trim at this point in time, and it's the most expensive Kia Carnival ever. It's more than $76,000 before on-road costs, so you're looking at more than 80 grand on the road, which is a lot of money for a car like this. But I do think that it still has plenty of value for money. And look, Kia says that they will add more hybrid options in the Carnival lineup later on, but this is just the first one. So I guess you have to wait if you want a cheaper one, or fork out and go for this one, which comes with a lot of stuff. I'm going to give you a few of the details about the standard equipment, including LED lights. They are LED projector headlights as well. LED daytime running lights. You get LED fog lights. You get specific 19-inch aero alloy wheels. And you also get keyless entry, push-button start, and an electric boot, as well as electric sliding side doors, which will make your family life a lot easier. On the inside, you're getting some really nice features. You've got heated and cooled front seats with electric adjustment and driver's seat memory settings. In the second row, you also get heated seats too. There's a big panoramic glass roof with 2 sections of glass. And also you're getting a pair of big screens, one for the driver and one for the infotainment stuff. You've got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, sat-nav, a head-up display, and basically everything you could possibly think of, including a heated steering wheel. So it does have heaps and heaps of standard equipment, but it does miss out on one thing that you might find important to your life. There is no spare wheel with this version. You just get a tyre repair kit, and the other versions of the Kia Carnival do have a spare. So look, let's talk about alternatives to this, because there are some, well, very impressive ones, some very familiar ones. The best alternative to the Kia Carnival Hybrid is the Kia Carnival Diesel or the petrol. Honestly, I would choose the diesel. 90% of buyers do choose the diesel because it's a really likable powertrain. If you haven't seen my detailed review of the petrol and diesel versions of this car, hit the link in the description below and make sure you go and watch it, because honestly, I reckon that the best alternative here is actually a Kia Carnival with a different powertrain. I mean, that's obviously dependent on your budget, because budget might be the biggest consideration for a family vehicle like this, unless you're choosing it for business, and then you can have different priorities. I understand that. But look, the diesel versions, they're a lot cheaper, they're more plentiful, there's different variants available. You can also choose the petrol V6 if you want and just save heaps of money and spend that on fuel, because it uses a lot of fuel. Anyway, I reckon that there's also a couple of other alternatives you should go and check out. The Hyundai Staria is one of them. It has a beautiful diesel engine, just like the Carnival. In fact, it's the same diesel engine, but it gets all-wheel drive in the Staria, and it's got a really interesting experience on the inside. It's like a fishbowl, that car, because it's got lots of glass and it is a big cabin. It's a big car as well, so it might not suit everyone's needs, but it does have a lot of wow factor, and also it's affordable, or more affordable than some versions of the Carnival, at least. And finally, if budget is everything to you, you might also want to go and check out the LDV MIFA. There's a turbo petrol version of that car. It only comes with 7 seats, so that might be a consideration for you, but it does have a fair bit of wow factor in terms of the interior. It's pretty nice to drive and relatively fuel efficient, and also it does have a decent warranty. So it could be a really good choice for you, or would you choose something else? Let me know in the comments. If you're thinking, how can I tell that it's the hybrid compared to the other versions of the Kia Carnival? There are a few ways. So in some instances, you'll notice that these little flaps underneath here will close up because it's got active aero. It's the first non-EV in the Kia range to have that. And also it's got model-specific 19-inch aero alloy wheels. So they're a little bit different looking to the other GT line wheels that are available. It's still a very big car, 5.1 meters long. It's got clever sliding side doors with buttons on the back doors as well. So if you've always got your hands full, it makes getting in and out a little bit easier as well. And look, the only other telltale signature that it is the hybrid is this HEV badge at the back. And let's have a look in the boot. Now, there's always a lot of work when it comes to these boots because they're so configurable and so excellent. Just have a look at the amount of space in there with 3 rows of seats up. That is bloody phenomenal. And it still has plenty of really good features in the back as well. You've got a shopping bag hook, you've got a little storage tray there, another tray down below, and on this side you've got a 12-volt port to another shopping bag hook as well, and another shopping bag hook down there, and another shopping bag hook down there. So yes, you, in theory, should be able to do a 8-seat family's worth of shopping in one load just by hooking them all up at the spot that they should be. All right, I'm going to put these seats down, and look, it should be easy enough to do one-handed, shouldn't it? So let's see. Pull that down, push that down like that, and pull this down, push this down like that. So that's not hard. Anyone with a kid in their arm should even be able to do that, because I've got a camera in my hand. But look, what do you think about that? That is a huge, huge amount of space, and you can slide those seats in front back. Well, the middle seat can go a long way back, as you can see with those runners, and it is a really, really massive space if you're thinking of using this as a 5-seater, but otherwise it's a hugely practical 8-seater. Okay people, I've already done a full detailed review of the Kia Carnival in a GT line version. So if you want to get the interior rundown that you need, make sure you hit the link in the description below. Otherwise, I'm just going to rush through this section, so don't get annoyed at me and don't go crazy at me at the comments. Okay, so 12.3-inch screen in front of the driver, and it's very, very good. 12.3-inch screen here for your multimedia as well. It's got connected services. It's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wirelessly. And you need to learn this screen a little bit because you will want to jump in here to adjust some things about the drive experience if you don't like the speed limit warning system. I don't like it because it beeps and bongs, and there's other elements of the drive experience that you might not like. Now I've set it up so that you've got the star button as your favorite button to jump straight into that screen, so you can turn that off a little bit more quickly. And also there's a couple of other things I turn off when I drive it. This steering assist thing, I don't like it very much. But hey, I don't think that's a deal breaker. You've got a wireless phone charger here, another little storage tray here, you've got cup holders here, your dial controller here, you've got a center covered bin here, you've got cup holders there for the people in the back. This seat does this, so you can adjust it from the driver's seat, which is kind of neat. And there's also extra little storage trays down here. Let me show you that. Yes, and you've also got a couple of bottle holders in the doors, and also it's just a really nice interior design. Head-up display as well for this spec. So yeah, it's nice. Let's jump in the second row. Push this button here and it'll close the door electrically, which I love. Speaking of electric, there's also electric windows in the back, which is a really nice feature to have in the back of a people mover. Lots of people movers don't have windows that go down, which is great. There's also these pull-up blinds for the back seat as well. Great to see. And up here, there's a climate control system as well. So you've got your temperature, your fan, and where the air is going. There are vents in the ceiling as well. You've got lights up here. You've got a big sunroof and another sunroof up there. And that's really nice to see. These are 3 individual seats, so you can slide them individually if you wish. There is no fold down armrest or cup holders as a result of that, but let me just show you something. You can fold that seat down completely and have a little storage tray between, and cup holders are there if you need them, or they're there, as I said. And there's also a 12-volt port down here as well. You've got USB ports on the backs of both seats. You got map pockets. There are bottle holders in the doors as well. And if you want to, you can remove this seat as well. But I'm just going to show you one more thing. It actually has a set of ISOFIX points, and so does that seat there, and so does the seat I'm in, which, just to give you a bit of a headroom perspective, it's pretty good, I have to say. And there's also ISOFIX points in the back there with top tether points there, and 3 top tether points in here as well. So it's a proper family vehicle with 5 child seat possibilities in the back here. Very, very, very handy. All right, I'll jump in the very back and show you what the space is like, shall I? To do so, I will use this lever here, slide this seat forward and jump into the back. And if you've ever sat in the back of a Kia Carnival as a passenger, you'll know that it is a very amenable space. So This seat is now set to the position I was just sitting in, which I had plenty of knee room, foot room and headroom. Here, I've still got clearance between the fronts of my legs and also a bit of clearance underneath as well. And headroom, yeah, it's actually pretty good. A 6-footer can fit back here. I mean, my head is just touching the ceiling, but I love the fact that I've got some really great features in here. Let me show you. So, you've got a light, you've got a vent with directional capability. You've also got these shades in the very back row as well. There's multiple cup holders, USB-C ports, and like I said, there's 3 seats across the back. It might be a little bit squishy to fit 3 big adults like me in the back, but I've been in the back row of a fully loaded Carnival before with 8 adults on board, and it was perfectly comfortable. And that is the thing about this car. It is exceptionally comfortable. It's the most practical car you can get if you need to move a lot of people. That's why it's called a people mover. And still, you get a massive boot too. Don't forget that. The Kia Carnival Hybrid comes with a 1.6 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, and it has a 6-speed automatic transmission, and it's front wheel drive only, and that might rule it out for you, depends on your needs. But this powertrain, which is familiar from other Hyundai and Kia group products, now has a bit more power because it's got a more powerful electric motor, and the electric motor is actually integrated into the transmission. So it means that when you're driving in EV mode, you can feel gear shifts, which is kind of weird, kind of cool as well, I reckon. Now, it's also got towing capacity that you might want to consider. See the numbers on your screen now and see if you think you could make that work for your needs. All right, let's go for a drive, shall we? See what it's like. And I'll also tell you about the fuel consumption soon too. Hear that? The sound of serenity, or the sound of a speaker on the outside of the car, which gets louder when you're in reverse, which is actually very, very handy. The idea with that speaker is because this car can run in fully electric mode. If you are driving fully electric, it's relatively silent, and the little speaker will warn people that you're there. It's good tech, I reckon. Yes, the EV driving situation in this car is something you need to think about, because it will drive in EV mode quite a lot, and it'll switch between petrol and electric depending on the situation that you're in, depending on what the battery's charge state is like, and it will also sort of switch between the two more regularly than you probably expect, including on the highway. You can be driving along at 110 k's an hour fully electric, which might be surprising. And just like that, it switched over to petrol or hybrid mode when I was going up that hill. As I go down here, it'll probably switch back to EV and be relatively silent again. Yep. And there's a little light on the dashboard there that tells you when you're driving an EV if you can't tell. And also, I'll also mention that you've got paddle shifters here, and they can adjust the level of regen braking that you have applied to the brakes. So regen brakes, if you're not aware, they help you add a bit more charge back to your battery pack in the form of kinetic energy that would have potentially otherwise been lost. So you can drive this car to a degree on the single pedal. So just using the accelerator, you can not touch the brakes in some situations, but it's not like single pedal driving in a full EV. It's just to a degree. And hey, I have to say that I do like the way this car drives more generally. I like the brake pedal feel. It's actually pretty honest. Sometimes it's not in hybrid cars that have regen brakes, but this is a pretty nice feeling brake, very responsive and safe feeling. And that's probably what you want in a vehicle of this size with this intent. And also, I have to say that the powertrain is definitely punchy enough. Like when you do put your foot down, it boogies, it goes along, and that's exactly what it should do. It should be relatively effortless. And look, there are some other things that do require a bit of effort, namely the safety systems in this car, which are pretty frustrating. So I'm going to turn off the speed sign recognition system because it annoys me. You can have it so that it's assistance, so it'll beep and actually keep you at the speed limit when you're using cruise control or whatever, or you can just have it as a display on the screen that tells you what the speed limit is. I don't know why it has to default to be on with a bing every time the car sees or thinks it sees a new speed limit sign, because sometimes it can get it wrong too, and that's a little bit annoying. Now, as I mentioned, you can actually feel gear shifts in EV mode in this car, which is kind of peculiar, and you can hear the electric motor whining away a little bit, but it's not too loud, and that's the other thing about this car. The refinement levels are fantastic. It is a big, comfy car, and you can talk to the people in the very back row quite easily as well. This powertrain, I think, is a good fit for this application. It probably could do with all-wheel drive, and it probably could do with being offered on more variants in the lineup. And in fact, I think that's the real thing that will hold it back initially, because it is expensive to buy a hybrid version of the Carnival right now. But hopefully that is addressed, because I think it would be a nice addition to some of the more affordable versions of this car. So it is a very, very large vehicle, but it doesn't feel that big to drive because it's got relatively direct and accurate steering. So that means that it's pretty predictable, pretty easy to manage this car in corners, whether you're going at speed, whether you're going on a twistier road like I'm on now, or whether you're just negotiating roundabouts or parking moves. You will notice that the steering is responsive and predictable, and you will be able to manage the size of this car because it is a big car. Don't go thinking that it's not. It's sizable, and it will basically take a bit of learning in terms of the dimensions. If you're stepping up from something far smaller, just keep that in mind. But it does have technology that helps you basically get more comfortable with the size of this car, because it's got the surround view camera system, which does make a big difference when you're parking. And it surprises me that Kia didn't decide to add surround view cameras to all grades of this car when they brought it out, but that's the way it is. But if you're buying the GT line, you do get one. And also you get the blind spot view monitor, which is a little camera display that shows up here. When you put your indicator on, it'll show you what's in your blind spot on that side or that side, depending on which way you are indicating. And it's a really great bit of technology, in my opinion. And look, the other element of the drive experience that really impresses me is the ride comfort. It's a big vehicle. It's got a long wheelbase and a lot of weight to contend with, but it still feels pretty well sorted on the road, and it doesn't necessarily get uncomfortable easily, which is great, because you wouldn't want that in a people mover. So it's a hybrid, and hybrids in most people's minds equate to good fuel consumption figures, low fuel consumption figures. And hey, look, the official combined cycle fuel use number for the Carnival Hybrid is on your screen now. And if you can achieve that, especially with all 8 seats occupied and a boot full of stuff, you'll be bloody laughing, I reckon. But be realistic, I would say, just like all other fuel consumption figures on the official combined cycle, it might be a little bit unachievable. Look, you'll see what I've seen on your screen right now, and that was across a mix of different driving scenarios, with people on board, without, and open road, urban, the whole gamut of stuff that you might do with your own Carnival as well. So I think that that's decent, but not necessarily mind-blowing. And in fact, I've seen less driving the diesel versions of the Kia Carnival, and that's why I keep coming back to the fact that I think the diesel might actually be the best option if you are considering a Kia Carnival. And if you're wondering, it still has a very big fuel tank capacity, and it can run on regular unleaded. But I would always recommend, if you can afford it, stepping up to putting 95 RON in at least. The Kia Carnival does have a maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating, and it does come with heaps of standard safety technology, especially if you're choosing a GT line grade like this one. Things like autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian, cyclist and junction detection. There's also lane keeping assistance with active lane keeping. There's adaptive cruise control with stop and go, and traffic jam assistance as well. There's blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and a rear auto braking system as well for this grade. Plus, this one also comes with a surround view camera system and a blind spot view monitor system as well. All of that tech is fantastic, and it's not available on all grades. And when it comes to airbag coverage, there's dual front, driver's knee, front side, full length curtain, including third row coverage, proper third row airbag coverage as well, which is great to see in a family vehicle like this. So it gets the tick. Kia Australia offers a 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty for its model range, including this car, and there's a cap price servicing plan available as well. But there's something you really need to know. Not only is the service interval requirement for this vehicle quite tight. It's 12 months and 10,000 kilometers. It's also bloody expensive to maintain this vehicle. If you look at the number on your screen, that's the average cost per service. So if you service your car twice a year because you do 20,000 Ks a year, it's going to cost you more than $1,000 per year just to keep this car on the road from a maintenance perspective. That is not cheap, and it's not fantastic, I have to say. And when it comes to roadside assistance, at least you get that included as well. There's definitely some appeal to the Kia Carnival Hybrid, and once they add a few more variants to the more affordable range, I think that it will be much more appealing. Right now, it's very expensive to get into this car, and the maintenance costs are also a real consideration. So, would you choose this? Would you go for the diesel? That's what I would do personally. If I was buying a Kia Carnival, I would walk in and get a diesel because I reckon it's a better fit personally. But I'd love to know your thoughts. Hit me up in the comments, and if there's any other cars you'd like me to review that I haven't done already, make sure you let me know and I'll see if I can do it for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.